Welcome to the Valhalla Filmcast. I am Bryce Thompson, and I am here with Brian Hammond and Cody Ryrie.
Ding ding.
Hello.
And today we are doing a special show.
That's one word.
If you haven't listened to our Tim Burton show, you missed out, or you didn't finish it, which could be possible. You got to get to the end because these two.
I lost my mind on Brian. Yes.
Yeah, he was a jerk. Cody was a jerk. It's pretty hilarious. I find it amazing and one of the best shows that we've done just because of that. But
it was bad enough I had to send a sheepish apology by text the next day.
Yeah,
So,
it was an awkward 48 hours after that discussion.
so we've come together on this fine evening to let them hash out Planet of the Apes. What they
How
hate
stupid
about
am
it.
I? Seriously. I'm a sucker for punishment.
So we're going to do this. I'm actually here to make sure that doesn't get out of hand.
You're physically sitting between us.
A little secret, if it does, I don't care. But we're just going to see how this goes. If it sucks, let me know. We'll never do it again.
Okay.
So yeah. Well, I guess I don't know how you want to do it.
Well, I want to get a little more background, too.
Yes.
Because last time when we spoke, neither one of us had seen it in years.
Yes.
So we were both kind of talking out of our butt.
Yeah.
A lot.
A lot.
Which, if you haven't listened to it, was used quite a bit.
My favorite quote that I texted Cody was, "Never bring a decade-old recollection of a film to a gunfight."
Yes.
Because
yes.
I got thrashed pretty hard. So I watched it that night immediately.
Wow.
As soon as we got off, I pulled it off my shelf, unpackaged it, and watched
That's
it.
telling. It was still in the package.
No, resealable package.
Wow.
All my movies are.
It's also telling. Anyway.
It is telling, actually.
All right, and then what happened? I don't own the film, which seems obvious from my opinion of it. But Brian was nice enough to let me borrow it on Blu-ray. Very early Blu-ray, I think, actually.
Was, yes.
Anyway, still not bad. Wasn't a bad quality Blu-ray. And I rewatched it, and then I took some notes, and then I watched, not the whole thing, but I watched about the first 45 minutes with the commentary by Tim Burton on, and then I skipped to select scenes and listened to the commentary, especially the ending.
Oh, great.
So that was enlightening to me, because I think it highlighted some of the problems I had. Now, with Tim Burton, this project did not originate with him. Like Batman, other people had it, and then it eventually got to him. And what he responded to in the original film, he talks about this in the commentary, was the image of ape people. Apes on horses, apes talking, apes whatever else. That was a strong image, and that's what he responded to. It was not the script, because the script was being written as they were filming.
Wow.
And so they're going along, and things are being written as they're going. I think that's, for me, one of the big problems is a lot of it has holes and problems because they're just thrown together as they do it. Because for Tim Burton, the important thing was the images. And there are some really good images in the film, some really interesting images. And like I said, I can give him props for using actual makeup. That was a big thing for him. Because at that point, we were having computer stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is almost a decade after Jurassic Park. So they were really pushing, this is after Episode 1, which had a full digital character whose name shall not be mentioned. So it could have been done. I mean, it would have looked like crap now. And the movie holds up. The makeup holds up today.
Absolutely.
Really well. And so I'll give you that. But I wanted the key thing that's wrong with the movie is all in one scene. And it's all in what Tim Burton said about it. There's the scene where they have dinner, right? All the apes have this big dinner, and Mark Wahlberg is serving them. That's a dream I've had. And
I think we all have.
And he said his inspiration for that scene was a piece of art. Does anyone have a guess as to what the piece of art was that he used for that scene?
Was it The Last Supper?
No.
What?
It was dogs playing poker. And so,
that's two ends of the spectrum.
Now, the screenplay in that scene is trying to make some points about people considering other people less than human because of religious beliefs and things and whatever else. And yet, for him, the big thing was, I love that image of humans or animals doing things they shouldn't be doing. And so for me, that highlights what's wrong with the movie, is he's in love with the image, and he doesn't care so much about the subtext or the plot or the characters, and those are the things I feel like were left behind.
Those are really fair points, and I agree with you on all of them. Okay, can you agree on one point of mine?
Okay, go for it.
That this is the worst Burton film that's out there.
My brain is. We did this with a whole list the other day, and now my brain's trying to.
Wait, let me. There's a qualifier to this. It's the worst or the least like Burton.
Yes.
There is no visuals.
Visual style wise,
absolutely.
Nothing.
You would not tell that this is a Burton film on viewing without knowing it. Like, seriously.
Well, it's the
right?
only film besides Mars Attacks that he filmed in the widescreen 2:3:5 to 1 aspect ratio. Everything else, he's a 1:8:5 guy. You know?
Yeah,
it's
I think
nerd stuff. Sorry, go on.
I think it's really no. I think that's really telling, and so I agree with you.
He's distanced from it. You're saying.
The discussion that we got into, you know, I agree with you 100% that it's the worst film of Burton, which is your whole premise for. You know,
that's what I was saying.
Yeah, that's what you were saying, and so I agree with that 100%.
You were saying Willy Wonka, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was his worst.
Well, the reason is because I had more of an affinity for Planet of the Apes, and so
okay.
Yeah, I guess I think I did say it. I don't remember which one I said, but I think it is the worst Burton in that it's the least Burton-like, and I think that's a very good qualifier for if it's a good Burton film. You know.
Does it look like him?
Does it look like him? And there's none of that there. What I did like about it, you know, Richard Baker, we talked about this. The makeup was incredible. The same one that did Star Wars, and was it the original? Oh, go ahead.
Can I pull a Trump?
Yeah.
And interrupt you?
Wrong.
No, I did feel like, and you mentioned this in your email, your infuriating email, which we'll get to in a minute.
It wasn't infuriating to me.
Yes, he sent me like a really big paragraph email too, like a couple days later, also about this. This was a thing. Anyway, is it makes is it Michael or Tom, who's his name? The really big guy who's on Green Mile.
Duncan. Michael Clark Duncan.
Yes. It makes him sound like your phrase was he has a mouthful of marbles.
Yeah.
And he doesn't sound like that near the movie.
Yeah,
so I'm wondering, and all the apes sound stuffed up too.
Yeah,
they all sound very congested.
It's the downfall of the makeup, but that also adds the originality of the film. You know, as far as the makeup design, why it holds up well. You mentioned that if it was CGI, it would be garbage today.
Oh,
it would be
so dated.
Yeah,
so
it would be horrible. It would be. Yeah. But just in the makeup alone and the set design, they were incredible. You can't.
Oh, I love the scarecrows.
Yeah, the scarecrows.
That was the one Burton thing. The ape scarecrow thing looked like a Burton creation. Everything else was a little bit off. But
yeah, the habitats, you know, the homes, the villages, everything. You know, I think
the costumes were forgettable. I thought the costumes in the original when Charlton Heston gets naked, and he's naked for a lot of it, and he's naked like full from behind for minutes at a time. So my wife didn't like the movie. She's like, "It's his butt," and I'm like, "Yeah, Chuck Heston's butt. I can look at that thing all day." Anyway, the Marky Mark refused to wear a loincloth or go naked, and so he's wearing this weird full-body gray flappy thing. The humans look funky. The apes have really weird, like, pointed helmet things. I didn't like the costumes.
Yeah.
Everything else was okay.
That's a stylistic choice, though. I mean, that's let's have that look that way, you know, kind of. So, yeah, that's not a downfall of, say, Burton's horrible, un-Burton-esque film. Can we edit this out? Because
I would like to throw in a little 2 cents with your costume and saying that's like, I don't know if you're saying it's the downfall of the entire film, but
no.
But
go ahead.
One thing that I was thinking of when it comes to costumes is Mad Max. I think it's the second one. The costumes in it are pretty atrocious.
The chaps. Yeah.
So, I mean...
Speaking of butts, there's a lot of butts in the second Mad Max.
So, I mean, when you're talking about, you know...
And these aren't Chuck Heston butts. These are below that. Sorry, go ahead.
So, yeah. But I think that I find your argument, I don't know, not valid. Because that movie is... I really like that movie and enjoy it a lot.
So you're saying it shouldn't ruin the movie?
No.
a costume choice.
Yeah, a costume choice isn't going to be... Because...
Almost kills the fifth element. Sorry, go ahead.
But during that time, like, if you went to watch the movie now... I mean, I wonder what movies we're going to be like when we're going to look back and be like, man, those costumes are horrible.
Yeah, it is interesting. Some of them have dated really badly.
And so that'll be interesting because during that time when, Miller was making that movie, I'm sure he didn't think the costumes
those were still horrible. Weird back then, though.
Oh, they were.
Because Miller's never been normal.
Definitely not. But they're not, like, as awkward as they are now, I don't think. So
let's bring up another thing that you took great umbrage with in my email. Referencing Star Wars, saying that it's more scientific than Star Wars. I know you have some reservations about that.
That wasn't the worst one, but yes,
okay.
I do have some reservations. Okay, first off, I will agree with that with the original Planet of the Apes, which uses the idea of traveling faster than the speed of light changes time perception. Interstellar did this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
In the remake, we didn't have time for something that would take explaining, so then we have a storm. It's an electrical storm in space, and it's giving us all the radio signals from all time at once. What does that mean? Oh, let's fly into it. Like, that is the least scientific thing. That's basically saying, hey, there's a giant anus in space. Let's fly into it, and somehow that's going to travel us through time. They erased the one scientific thing and just got rid of it.
We can agree that it's a type of wormhole, right? Right? Not an a-hole, but a wormhole. Right? Can't we agree that
No,
it's
they
a
don't
wormhole?
say that. They say it's like an electrical storm. And I don't think wormholes have anything to do with electricity.
Know, but Star Wars and Star Trek, they have little spacious, ethereal clouds everywhere that they're flying into. What I'm saying is that they take that one line where they explain the storm, the spatial storm, that they take more thought in that than Star Wars. They don't explain stuff, They don't. In Star Trek, they do. In Star Trek, they go above and beyond. In fact,
that might be the downfall of Star Trek in some ways, but
that's why I said that comment. It wasn't really to provoke you. It was just a little bit. It was to provoke you a little bit, but I kind of stand behind it. In that, you said there's nothing scientific about this film. Well, there's more scientific explanation in that one paragraph of the script. Than
poorly written.
Yeah.
Okay.
Poorly written. Sure, I'll give you
all
that.
All right. I'm just saying the original Planet of the Apes did that better.
It did.
Which I didn't have that as a reference because I hadn't seen it when I saw this one. Anyway, all right, let's get to the other thing in your email, and then we'll get to the last thing, which is the ending. The other thing in your email is you were talking about the goodness of the makeup, and then you referred to Andy Serkis as hiding behind dots on his face.
That was...
All right? That's a quote.
Yes, but it was in direct retaliation from the podcast the night before when you say that...
Okay. All right, so are you willing to walk that back now since you've...
Walk it back how? What
you were
was
saying
exact
it was
quote
superior to what they've done in the new films.
Did I say superior?
Well, you said it's better than Andy Serkis hiding behind dots in his face. Sounds like you thought it was superior at the time.
Man, maybe we should have looked this up.
That's a quote. I memorized it.
Oh, you did?
That part I did, yeah. So
I think it was more tongue-in-cheek than that.
Well, sarcasm's not very well put in an email, but I'm just saying. I think the special effects in the new films and Andy Serkis' performance is far above, emotionally speaking, than anything in the other.
I'm not going to do that. What I was trying to... Seriously, I love the reboot. Okay, I love Rise. I love Dawn.
I didn't know that. That gave me the impression you liked them.
No, I love it. What I was saying is it's a throwback to the original makeup art.
See, because I got from that one sentence is that
no,
Andy Serkis is crap.
No,
I love everything. You don't insult the circus.
I love everything that Serkis does. I'm serious. Lord of the Rings. I love everything. But what I was saying is that it's one of the last films that we're going to see like makeup.
Fair enough. Yes, that's true.
And it's
Except
refreshing.
The new Star Wars brought some of that back a little bit.
Well, yeah, but for the most part, specifically Planet of the Apes, we're never going back to that.
No,
that was a flash in the pan, and they did an excellent job with
also, using real chimps, never going to happen again.
Yeah.
Because the ASPCA throws a fit. And Tim Burton talked about the worst part of the whole movie by far was working with chimps. So, then a little tidbit there for you. All right, let's get to it. We're dancing around it. The ending is the main bone of contention.
Okay.
And I did a lot of research on this. I heard what Tim Roth thought about it, who plays General Thade. I heard Tim Burton talk about it for the whole... He talks about that in a big section of the commentary. I heard some critical reviews. I heard some audience explanations. I want to hear your thoughts behind it.
Okay, my thoughts are, first of all, I haven't done all that research. You know, I don't care. I don't care what they say.
You're much like Tim Burton in that way. But yes, go ahead.
I know that's what you said because you told me that.
Yeah.
But no, okay. So it is a little confusing. We don't know exactly what happened, but we know that there is time and dimensions of time that are being played with in the spatial storm that we don't know what happens. We don't know how he got out of the little pod. We don't know, we don't know how it happens. However, screenwriters do an excellent job. It was a franchise that got thrown out. We didn't ever get to see a sequel.
Yes.
And we never will. So we don't know how it played out, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that it would work out. I thought it was a nice throwback to the original without copying it. They weren't on Earth, so to speak, right? I mean, we don't know for sure.
No, we do know for sure, because...
Well, in the original one, they were.
In the original one, in the new one, we know for sure that the planet he was on is not Earth. Because Burton said it, and if you look on his little star chart thing when he's going and landing, there's like 4 different moons. And then one time at night, you see like...
Yeah.
3 moons or something like that.
So
it's not Earth.
I agree with that. So we don't know. So obviously he never got back. He's still in a different dimension of that universe, of the Planet of the Apes universe. Mm-hmm. So we don't know how it all played out. We never will. But I'm sure it was worked out, or would have been worked out by the screenwriters, and made sense. There's worse things to try to grasp than spatial dimensions and different dimensions that are out there.
This is where the giant floating anus comes in, because for me it feels like they pulled it.
Bring it on,
where they pulled it out of. Tim Burton. This is what he says. I'll explain this for Bryce's benefit and for you listening.
And mine. I haven't commentary yet.
He says, look, I'm not going to explain the ending. He says, I was just in love with, and this is another quote, for some reason these things stick in my brain. I can't say it all the way because it's not family friendly. But he said, I love the idea of Mark Wahlberg standing there and saying, what the, he uses the F word, is this? And he said, I love ending the movie on that note of total confusion. And he said, I love the image of they're all in their police gear and whatever else as monkeys.
I love all that imagery.
Okay. He said, so if you want to go back, it sounded very much like a certain political debate we had recently. If you want to go back, he said, and you can track it out. We planned it out. It all makes sense. But I'm not going to explain it. That's what he said. And then anyway, and so for me that sounds a whole lot like my explanation sounds idiotic. And so I'm not going to put it out there because you'll just make fun of it. And the real reason is because I love that image. And I think you should have just stuck to that. I don't care if it makes sense. I love that image. I love that idea. That at least I can get behind. But this whole cowardly, no, it does make sense. And your whole assertion, this kills my Marvel stuff, but I'm going to do it anyway, is that a movie has to stand on its own, I think. A movie can't rely on something that might get made to be a whole experience. And that you're saying, oh, I'm sure they had it all worked out.
No, I don't know
even
what's
if
so
they did,
bad about
who
the
cares?
Yeah,
Who
what's
cares?
so bad about the ending, though?
It doesn't make any freaking sense.
Why?
He goes into the giant anus, he pops out of the giant anus, and he's somehow back on Earth.
And he's in a different dimension. No, it's not Earth, you said, right?
Well, the original planet he's on is not Earth.
Okay, so when he goes back...
And then when he goes back, it is Earth. On his little screen, I've watched it in slow motion. You can see it is Earth. It's got the right continents and the right moon and everything else.
Okay.
So somehow our friend General Thade
got
in a spaceship, a non-existent spaceship, since there's only 3 spaceships in the film. There's the one that Mark Wahlberg travels in, which crashes to the bottom of the thing after a very violent wreck. There's the one that the ape, I can't remember his name, lands in on his fake Jesus thing. It makes sense if you've seen the movie. And then that's the one Marky Mark takes back to Earth through the thing. And then there's the big ship, which is crashed and totally dilapidated, and he uses the last of the fuel during the battle, which General Thade is trapped in. So somehow, General Thade gets out of that ship, takes a non-existent ship he can't fly because he's a monkey, and doesn't know how to fly, doesn't use technology, goes through the wormhole, goes to Earth at a different time, and in that different time somehow changes history so that he becomes Abraham Lincoln. Literally. He is the Abraham Lincoln Monument, and in that timeline, they still make the Lincoln Memorial, and they still make all the other things, but it's monkeys that are in charge. I don't know how that happened. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't know specifically. However,
And
I do
neither
know.
do you.
I do know. That's what I just said. I don't know specifically.
And neither do these screenwriters. Nobody has an inch of that because it's impossible.
It's not
Even
impossible.
in a world with
no,
monkeys
in a world
walking around in clothes, it's
anything-
impossible. It
anything
makes no
that
sense.
you're talking about, spatial dimensions
Oh
and
my
time
gosh.
travel, anything could happen. Like they could have evolved for 1,000,000 years and gone back.
So
in
a
time.
butterfly flaps its wings, and then General Thade becomes Abraham Lincoln.
Absolutely, butterfly effect. Yeah, let's throw that in there too.
It's lazy screenwriting. That's what I'm saying. Is because the giant anus. I love that we're calling that just normally. The giant
I don't
space
like
storm.
it.
or
I'm
whatever.
quite uncomfortable. I know I said I liked the giant black anuses, but I'm very uncomfortable with that metaphor right now for some
All right,
reason.
forget it. The giant spatial storm is a screenwriting laziness to its 10th degree. Because the giant it means everything makes
But
sense.
it's a cliffhanger.
Everything
We
makes
have
sense.
no idea. It's a cliffhanger. It's not meant to be
It's
explained.
not a cliffhanger. A cliffhanger
No,
makes
that
you
is a
wonder what
cliffhanger
happens
of
after.
epic
It doesn't make
proportions.
you wonder what happened before.
It's a
It's
cliffhanger.
two different things.
It's a cliffhanger of epic proportions that.
Okay. We're getting nowhere. So I'm ending it.
You're
Not gonna
tired.
declare a
Conclusion.
winner or anything?
The conclusion is
No winners.
No, there's no winners. I think Cody proved that there can be no winners.
Yeah.
Because
No, you bring up good
Hold on,
points.
hold
I'm
on, hold
serious. You do,
All right.
Cody.
Bryce took
Okay.
a little breather here. That's good. I'm just saying. I think the cliffhanger thing. I want to address that really quickly. I am Donald Trump, aren't I?
You I despise
And
you.
you're Hillary Clinton. The cliffhanger for me, my definition of cliffhanger, is makes you wonder about what's going to happen next. It doesn't make you wonder about what you just watched and why what you just saw makes no sense. I think a good cliffhanger, you understand everything makes sense up to that point, but you're so involved that you're just like, I got to see what happens next. For me, I had no desire to watch any more of that because what happened before didn't make sense to me.
This is what I'll concede, and now that we're breathing good again, it would have been better if they had been on Earth
The whole time.
the whole time.
That would have been a
That would have-
twist on the original twist, and I could have gotten behind that more.
And it would have made sense. It would have opened the door for more explanation on the ending, because you are dealing specifically with spatial disturbances and dimensions and all that. Where they're on a different planet, it does throw in a different element of complexity that you have to try to explain. And so I agree with you. I concede. Yeah. But I was...
You still like the way
when
it
I
ended
watched
for
it,
you.
when I watched it, I was excited to see the sequel. Disappointed when it wasn't going to get made. Maybe just to find out how they did explain it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We're good.
Okay. All right.
Interesting. I guess I think from what all this
We were doing okay until we got to the ending, I think.
Yeah,
That's
it's the main contention, I think, for both of
So
us.
one conclusion that I've made is that I'm probably not going to ever watch this movie.
I win.
But also I was thinking, I mean, it's not really that old. I mean, it's only like
2001, I think.
2001.
Yeah.
So I was going to say the time period of when it was made too. But like, I think when I think of like you say that it would have been better if it was on Earth, which I think is true. Sure.
I don't know if better, but
Well-
maybe would have been a little more easy to explain.
Yeah, easier to
Yes.
explain.
Sure, but I also kind of like the idea that it's on a different planet. Maybe if they would have, like, I've never seen this movie. Like I said, I'm probably never going to see this movie. But if they could have explained how they got to each place. You know, if there was a way to explain
If
that.
there were more breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
I think there was a lack of
No,
breadcrumbs.
that's true. However, I have seen some amazing... No, I'm not getting back into it.
No, okay.
Wipe that
Sorry.
smirk off your face.
I was laughing at Bryce because he had this look like, uh-oh.
No, I was just saying, I have seen worse movies that at the ending they've made a sequel to, and they do work wonders with the plot, tying it in.
And this is where...
No, because
I think Amazing Spider-Man.
I suck.
Amazing Spider-Man 1, I thought ended badly, and then the second one fixed it.
This is where I'll go with... I have to side with Cody. I think this has been documented. This has been documented with my voice saying it for all the world to listen to. I think that movies should stand alone. Like, I think that is
me
key.
saying that's going to seriously bite me in the butt when we talk about Marvel. But that's okay.
But I've always kind of felt that way. I think I get. I mean, you're always going to be able to find ways to, where you dig yourself into a hole, which I'm sure I've done multiple times in this podcast. But that's something that I find, impressive is when you can, have a movie that I mean, one of the three best trilogies that I know of is the Batman, Christopher Nolan's Batmans. Mm-hmm. Each stand alone,
and they all work as a movie. Yes,
and
absolutely.
You can watch them all three, and they're all great. They all piece together very well. But hey, let's say you don't have time to watch all of them. Hey, watch the third one now, second one later.
It wouldn't hurt.
It doesn't. It's not bad. And I find that's really impressive to me, and I find that.
That's actually that's the reason when people ask me what my favorite Star Wars is, I always say the first Star Wars, New Hope, because I feel like it's a complete experience.
Yeah.
And while Empire Strikes Back maybe slightly better made, it's an episode. It's not a movie that works on its own, and for me that gives Star Wars the upper hand. So,
yeah, those are always the best ones that you go and you feel all the exhilaration of the cinematic experience, and at the end you're left fulfilled.
Yes.
Not longing for more. I really do hate cliffhangers of ones that, we're making a sequel. I mean, even Back to the Future, I'll even argue that, at the ending there. So, yeah, I agree with your point, Bryce. I think that...
Just because, I mean, the way Hollywood is now, you don't know. You don't know what's getting made, what's not.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, movies that I'm like, yes, 100% make a sequel. Ghostbusters. Make a sequel of that immediately. Not happening.
The Nice Guys. What I wouldn't give for more Nice Guys. And not because it's a cliffhanger, just because I love the characters.
But
we don't get the ones we want, we get ones we don't want.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. But you have to make movies that can be by themselves. Mm-hmm. And if you get a sequel, wonderful. That's awesome and amazing, and I'm so happy.
But if you don't, yes.
You need that movie that stands alone. I mean, how many times have we seen that as time's gone on? You have these Planet of the Apes that, we need this to explain this, but it didn't happen. Well, no, that's a bad excuse.
Leave it all on the table.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%.
I agree, and this is a perfect example, maybe even the pinnacle of what happens if a sequel doesn't get made.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's left in this weird limbo of people hate it because they don't know what happens, and that's a downfall to the movie. It
drives friendships apart. Yeah.
It does. It makes people from Blackfoot hate people from Rexburg.
I'm from Kentucky, but yes. Yeah. That's
there you go.
But I think that is, I mean, if we can gather anything useful from what has just happened, that is it.
Don't let a movie ruin your life.
No, not even that.
Especially the worst Burton film ever.
Right. But just like, make movies that have a point.
Stand alone.
Not necessarily have a point, but kind of explain themselves in a 2-hour period, and your audience isn't left going, what? I can't wait for the sequel so I understand what's going on.
Well, and you can even do let's suggest that these events continue.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Batman Begins does a great job of introducing the Joker card at the very end. But that doesn't mean you have to have a sequel. For me, that felt like, and now he's going to go off and have a lifetime's worth of Batman adventures.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like a cliffhanger. It doesn't mean you have to end it. It has to have a direct ending. You can suggest future events, but you don't have to have those. I feel like Batman Begins is a whole experience, even while suggesting a future.
Sure.
Like, there's even movies that, I can't think of any examples right now, but there's even movies that they leave you, going, number 2, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
There's never been a plan, for a second movie, but they just ended it perfectly.
That's a great
like
sign,
that.
though.
You know,
yeah.
Inception. Inception is a great,
Leave you want more. Yeah.
great example of that.
That's much better than a movie being 20 minutes too long.
Yeah.
And you're dying for it to end.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, could they make it
That is the
Inception
proper
2?
way to do a cliffhanger. No,
Inception?
Oh gosh,
I mean,
if they did
they?
Inception 2, that would
Oh, yeah,
ruin it.
It
Ruin
would.
That is
ruin
because
it.
you really want to know what happens after, but everything's been perfectly explained
Yes.
up to that
Well,
top
let's
beginning.
say that. I mean, I think they could get away with it. I think they could.
The thing is, though, if
It
you
would be
ever
hard,
say what happened,
It would be a.
But
if you ever say if the top fell or it didn't fall, then you have ruined Inception in retrospect.
Let's
Yes.
say you never see it fall.
I
Let's
might
say
be okay
it's-
with that, but you don't need to. It's so perfect.
Exactly.
It's up there,
It's
you know?
perfect, and they've left you with the cliffhanger that says, they makes you ask the question.
Yes.
He makes you
Let's-
ask the question: could you do it?
You know, I'm not going to throw that off the table that there could be a sequel because he's actually talking about doing Memento, which I think is horrible.
Well, I'm sure he wouldn't redo
I
it.
think that I read a little clip
Yeah, we
that he
reported this on
was
the
planning
podcast somewhere.
on.
I take that with a grain of salt till I see.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem like him at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But I mean, that's something that I think is, again, to the point of good filmmaking. Is the film stands alone. It makes you ask the question: could there be a number 2?
We agree
I mean,
Inception's the
there could
perfect
be.
cliffhanger.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah, definitely.
Gold standard.
I mean, we've said this multiple times on the Filmcast. It makes you ask the question of our lifetime. Does the
Probably
top
the
fall?
most talked about movie immediately when it ends,
Oh,
too.
definitely,
Yes.
definitely. I mean, it makes you ask the question: does the top fall? You can ask that to anybody.
And it's
Anybody.
great. Nolan was so perfect. I wonder how many times they shot that. Do you know, Cody?
No, I don't know.
Because
it starts to wobble.
It starts to wobble even. And you're just like, oh, and when it cuts to black, oh,
So I think that's
worst
where
cut ever.
that's
And
where
best
we'll
cut
leave
That's
it.
good.
But that's where we'll leave it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yes.
is what we've said. There's good ways to make movies and bad ways, and we all
Yep.
know that. But
And it's all good. We're still friends.
That's right.
for
Yeah.
now,
Maybe stronger because of it.
That's right.
all right.
Probably not.
Let's end this.
Yeah.
All right. This has been the Valhalla Filmcast, and I am Bryce Thompson,
I'm Brian Hammond.
And I'm Cody Rowry.
and I'll talk to you next.